thanks for coming over. It's great having you here. We've known each other for a few years now. And I thought with us getting together, it gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit about other aspects for wine rather than the balance and the acidity and the residual sugar and so on and so forth. As you know, wine to me is a product that really mirrors our lives, and it has more to it than just an enjoyable beverage or enjoyed with a nice meal. For me, things that go into the world of wine as well is a question of empathy. So how do I approach the topic wine when it comes to my suppliers and to my customers? So there has to be a lot of people whose interests we have always in mind. And then the customer service level, as I mentioned, and this is how I met you, the fantastic service that I got from you in the previous career that you had. And I'm sure that you will apply the same principles in your new career, which hopefully we get to talk a little bit about today. So there is a huge thing about balance and harmony in the product wine, and I thought in order to exemplify that, I chose two wines today. Brand new arrivals, not necessarily new to our portfolio. These wines have been here before, but new vintage releases now. So what we have here are two wines that are, on the one hand, 100% varietal wine from the grape variety Grenache. But the interesting thing about our Cabrita is that it comes from a single vineyard called Cabrita that has 4 specific soil types: clay, limestone, slate, and sand. And what the growers and the winemakers of Selle de Capsanes are doing here is they're picking the best plots from these various soil types to show how these different soil types work together to bring out the best in that particular style of wine. Then on the other hand, so we have a blend of soil types. On the other side, we have a rosé from Selle de Capsanes, and here this is a blend of 4 different grape varieties. So once again, picking the best characteristics of each grape and trying to provide something that is very enjoyable and very much in balance. So let's try out this rosé wine and see what we think.
How many times do you think they would put different grapes together and have winners and losers?
It is really entirely, and this is where the expertise of the, I hate to use the word winemaker, but let's stick to it for a lack of a better term in our English language. This is where his or her palate come in, the vision, and whatever that expert believes is required to provide that umami effect, that beautiful balance and harmony of flavors. Beautiful.
Very nice wine, yes.
Refreshing, got good depth of flavors. So this is a blend of different varietals.
So you had said from this varietal, they had from the same winery with 4 different soil types and different blend types?
No, this is the same grape variety, and it's a single vineyard. So a single vineyard is a very specific area of land, not widely spread out, versus a selection of vineyards where you can pick the same grape variety from different distinct terroirs, not just in terms of soil, but everything else, the environmental influences that you have in different areas.
And how subtle the nuances between the different soil types?
They're very, actually the interesting exercise comes when we can taste the 4 wines that they make 100% Grenache all the time, but they make 100% clay, 100% sand, slate, and limestone. And that is really an interesting experiment to make. And there you can see the impact of the different soil types. And then you also see the skill of that winemaker when he, or in this particular case, Anna Rovira, a very skilled lady winemaker, when she puts all these different elements together and comes up with this, which they refer to as the queen of the winery.
That's excellent.
Wow. So this is wine for special occasions. So this is just, from my world, an example as to how harmony and balance work together in order to come up with a fantastic result. So tell me a little bit about, I mean, I know what you're doing,
Yeah.
but we haven't had a chance to have a very in-depth conversation. So what's up? What you doing?
Well, I made the move to IG Wealth, so I loved what I had to do with clients and servicing them and just putting it all together. Came to a point in my life where I felt that I could do, like if somebody had come to me 20 years ago and said, I need you to do these 3 things, my life would be much different today. So it is about investing in ourselves and our clients in the future and growing with them and just being that person they can always reach out to. So it was time to make that change, and man, it was rewarding right away. I knew it was going to be that way. I had done a little bit of soul searching and it made a lot of sense. And just having got to know you and the way you talk about wines and investing in your business, and it's a passion thing. It really is. Like when you talk about wines, I kind of like, it's dreamy. Let's hear Abraham talk about wine, but it just you do that, and it just sort of, this kind of made sense and it resonated with me. And we had talked about some of those things, and this feels like a good fit, because one of the things I talk about is value and money. Like you don't have to buy the cheapest things, you don't have to buy the most expensive things, but understanding again how things work and the roots of it, and the roots matter. That's important. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I can imagine. For me, it's fairly easy because it's a product that is easy to fall in love with. It brings joy to people. It makes a sad day bearable. It makes a happy day even happier. These kinds of things, and it also, I can combine it with. I really, for the most part, I love people and I like to help them. Right. Until I don't anymore. But
the nice thing.
But I can. Sorry, but what I was trying to get at is, you sold a fantastic product in the past, and I was very happy with it. But it's kind of, it's a one mono-use kind of a thing.
Right.
What I find exciting about what you do right now, because once again, there's a diversity, there is a variety of things that you can choose from, or you have to choose from, to come up with that perfect balance for your customer.
Yeah.
Tailored to his or her needs. And that is what I find amazing.
One of the strongest correlations really between this and personal wealth and finances is a level of complexity. So there's a lot of people that will have a very basic idea of wine, tell me what's good, I don't understand, to the ones that are well versed and want to know what kinds of soils, and that's the same. Some people don't feel that they know enough, and they don't want to ask any questions that make them feel insecure. And some people know a lot and just need some expert opinion. But again, you can talk to somebody that's just like, I just want some good value. What's a great wine, or what do I pick? And then they just want to enjoy it. And then
right.
Again, you can have that conversation at so many levels. Your breadth of knowledge is so good. And again, that's kind of where people are at. I deal with a lot of people that are afraid to ask them questions. I'm like, you can ask a dumb question to me. I'm not going to judge you. I was there. We were all there at one point. So,
well, I mean, for me, what I always tell people when we do events is I try to control the need or the urge to go too technical. First of all, our palates are all subjective, and they're based on the experience that we've had. But what I always tell people is, begin to trust your palate, and at the end, the only thing that matters is, do I like this wine or don't I like this wine? I think in your world it's a little bit more complex, because you're dealing with people's futures, you're dealing with the future of the children, and a lot more complexity involved there. Difficult questions have to be asked, but I can imagine, I can just imagine myself, I know nothing about investing. So I wish, well, fortunately enough, I don't have much to worry about in terms of investment, but if I did, I certainly would love to have somebody like you on my side, whom I can trust, and who I know will always have the best interest in mind.
And that was the biggest thing. I wanted to be that trusted professional. You have the trusted professional comes to this, and just have somebody that can ask that question and know that the thing that's really inhibited me is my conscience. I need to be able to sleep at night. So I'm going to tell you what is the right thing. It may not be the most, best thing sometimes, but I can sleep at night knowing I've given you proper advice versus anything else. So I can tell you what one of the most intimidating things is wondering if I should bring wine to this, and how do you bring? So when you go to people's houses, is that like a challenge? They bring out wines and just
look for the Notary and Roots Matter logo, and you can never go wrong.
You're right about that. I do. That's the one thing I do look for. You've sort of already pre-selected for me, all that stuff. And I know you wouldn't pick one that wasn't. And what people don't know is when you talk about that wine, you know the family, the vintner, like that's.
It's curated.
Yeah.
And it's, as I said, everybody has their own palate, his or her likes. I cannot guarantee that you will like all 118 wines in my portfolio, but one thing I can guarantee that it's not because of a lack of quality. So, and that is what I always stand behind, and I do believe that people have developed a level of trust in, first of all, in my integrity, and a little bit. I mean, this has been my life for over 4 decades now.
How many wines did you start with? You have 118. What was your?
The starting portfolio for a Notary 9 years ago was 63 wines.
Did you still? How many of the 63 do you still have?
That's a good question. I would say 25%. So over the years, we've introduced over 300 brand new wines to the market. Over 60 families. We're doing business with about 30 right now. There's always a little bit of a fluctuation. You have to keep your portfolio in my world. You have to keep your portfolio fresh, that you always have something new to talk about to your customers, because we're also very, very, well, not selective, that sounds terrible, but we have a very, very clear sourcing strategy, and with that you also have to have a distribution strategy. So that means I want to make sure that my wines are not seen on every shelf of every discounter store. So we do support the people that support us, the independent boutiques, the independent restaurants, and
So you've chosen these for a reason. One of the things that kind of correlates against us is people want to pick like sustainable. They want to do sustainable investing. They want to do things. I'm assuming you've gone through these vineyards or these groups, and they're sustainable. They're responsible. They're great community partners where they're growing the wines.
Totally, that's a very important point, Cam. I mean, the people that I deal with, they all have the same attitude. We've got Spanish people, South African, German, French, Italian. They all have their own, and even within the countries, they have their own mentalities. They have their own personalities. But one thing that all of them have in common is that they don't look at themselves as having inherited that land and now it's theirs. They're looking at their land and their role as being the stewards to maintain and farm that land responsibly, sustainably, so that the next generation of that family gets to enjoy and benefit from it as well. So that is the key. And then if you have, in my experiences, if you find people with that level of knowledge and integrity and passion, that the products that they're crafting, that they're producing, is of good quality, right? It's like it's grandma's apple pie, making the best possible apple pie for the people that she loves. This is what our growers are all about.
It's fantastic, and I've gone from, again, that very novice. You've just sort of scratched the surface for me, and let me ask some silly questions about some wines and experience some great wines. So thanks.
Fantastic, thanks, Cam. Well, let's enjoy these wines now, and we ask some more silly questions later. Cheers. Good. Thanks for coming.
Cheers. Thanks.